No one told you the next 5 days would be different. No one warned you that September 26th to 30th are not normal days on the calendar. But your body will tell you the truth before your mind understands it. Strange feelings, sudden changes. 7 body signs that show the moon is waking something inside you. This isn't random. It isn't coincidence. The energy of the moon in these days is strong, alive, almost demanding. And when the moon changes like this, you don't just see it in the sky. You feel it in your sleep, in your thoughts. The real question is, will you ignore these signs or will you understand the message they carry? Because the symptoms you feel in these 5 days are not a warning. They are the beginning of an awakening. So stay with me. But first, like this VI, subscribe to this channel and type the number 777 in the comments if you know this message is for you. From September 26th to 30th, the moon is not just shining, it is shifting. Its energy becomes stronger, like a light that suddenly grows brighter and points straight at you. What usually feels quiet in the background now feels clear, powerful, and impossible to ignore. Symbolically, this is a mirror. The moon reflects what you've kept hidden, old memories, buried feelings, the truths you've tried to avoid. It does not whisper, it reveals. That's why your body feels different. Strange fatigue, sudden bursts of emotion, flashes of clarity that vanish as quickly as they come. The moon pulls the tides of the sea. And you too are mostly water. Do you understand now why escape is impossible and why now? Because these 5 days are a threshold, an ending and a beginning. A lunar doorway to transformation. Right now, most of the people around you are caught in routines. They move through the day, busy and distracted. But underneath the surface, something feels unsettled. Maybe you've noticed it yourself. Old memories surfacing, emotions that come out of nowhere, a heaviness in the body that doesn't match what's happening around you. This is the hidden work of the moon. Its pull is not only on the ocean but on the inner waters of your own being. Like tides, your emotions rise and fall, revealing what has been buried. Nostalgia, sudden sadness, even strange bursts of joy. These are not accidents. They are releases. The pressure you've been holding finally finding a way out. Think of it like a dam that's been holding back water for years, maybe even decades. You've been pressing emotions down, keeping them quiet, but cracks always appear. And when they do, the water flows. That flow can look like tears, like restless energy, like sleepless nights. It may not feel comfortable, but it is natural. It is needed. This is why the energy feels so emotional. It is clearing. It is bringing up what you thought you had forgotten. Nostalgia shows you what you truly miss. Anxiety points to what you have avoided. Loneliness reminds you of the connections your soul still longs for. Each feeling has a purpose. Imagine your life as a garden under bright moonlight. In daylight, you see only what you expect. But under the moon, every shadow, every weed, every hidden corner becomes visible. This is what's happening now. The light is not here to punish. It is here to show you what needs to be cleared, what needs to be healed, what needs to finally grow. Most people will try to run from this. They'll bury themselves in distractions, scrolling, noise, busyness. But the moon does not let go so easily. It tugs at your inner tides again and again until you listen. And here is the truth. The emotions you are feeling are not breaking you. They are remaking you. Just as muscles ache before they grow, your heart aches before it releases what no longer belongs. This is not weakness. It is preparation. So when these waves come, whether it's sudden tiredness, unexpected tears, or flashes of memory, don't push them away. Notice them. Write them down. Let them move through you. Because every emotion rising now is carrying a message, and the moment you choose to listen, the weight begins to lift. The feelings you carry now are not warnings. They are invitations. Invitations to release, to reset, to step into a version of yourself that has been waiting. Between September 26th to 30th, life takes on a different rhythm. It is as if the world is humming on a frequency you don't usually tune into, and that hum begins to shape the way you move through your days. In small, quiet ways, you begin to realize that these moments are not ordinary. They are charged with a strange kind of clarity. And within that clarity lies opportunity. Opportunity to see yourself with new eyes and to choose differently than before. In these days, guidance is not a distant concept. It is already present, woven into the way conversations unfold, the way your body slows you down or speeds you up, the way an old memory drifts into your mind and refuses to leave. The universe often whispers before it shouts, and right now, the whispers are strong enough to change the course of your path if you pay attention. Imagine your life as a wide river. Most of the time you drift along its current without thinking much about direction. But when the moon shifts in certain ways, that river begins to bend. The water pulls you toward places you didn't expect. You can fight against it, or you can allow yourself to be carried, learning the lessons of the new landscape as you pass through. That is what these days are offering. Not chaos, but a redirection. So how do you move through this redirection with strength instead of confusion? It begins with honesty. Honesty with yourself about what you've been holding on to for too long. Perhaps there are habits you've promised to let go of, yet you cling to them because they feel safe. Perhaps there are people who no longer walk beside you with harmony, but you keep them close out of fear of loneliness. Or perhaps it is simply the quiet ways you keep yourself small, avoiding the risks that would lead to growth. The first guidance these days offer is to stop pretending. Stop telling yourself stories that no longer match reality. The moon has a way of shining light on the places we try to keep hidden. Not to embarrass us, but to free us. It invites you to admit what you already know, that you are ready for change even if change feels uncertain. This is not about tearing everything apart. It's about releasing the pieces that no longer fit. Like an artist standing before a canvas, sometimes you have to step back and paint over the shapes that no longer serve the vision. And when you begin to release, you make space. Space for alignment. Space for encounters that lift you higher instead of dragging you lower. Space for ideas that arrive like sparks of lightning, guiding you to choices that will reshape your days. You cannot receive if your hands are still clutching what is heavy. This is the paradox of transformation. The moment you let go, you begin to gain. Guidance also shows up in the body, not in aches or symptoms, but in patterns of energy. You may find yourself more alert at certain hours, craving silence when usually you crave noise, drawn to nature when normally you stay inside. These are not coincidences. They are directions. Each unusual urge is a signpost pointing toward what you need. If you lean into those signposts, you will find yourself recalibrating in ways you couldn't plan on your own. Another key piece of advice during these days is to rethink your relationship with time. Too often we live as if time is chasing us, as if each day is only a list of things to accomplish before rest. But time is not your enemy. It is your ally. Time expands when you slow down, when you choose presence over productivity. If you can pause long enough to notice what truly matters, time begins to stretch, giving you more space to choose wisely. Relationships too come under this magnifying glass. Think about the people in your orbit. Who drains you quietly, leaving you empty after every conversation? Who nourishes you, leaving you lighter, calmer, clearer? These are not random impressions. They are guidance. The moon does not simply expose the truth within you, but also the truth around you. Use these days to evaluate who you give your energy to and whether they truly deserve it. This does not mean cutting everyone off in haste. It means observing with honesty and choosing with care. There is also guidance and creativity. When the inner tides shift, inspiration often rises in unexpected ways. You may be drawn to write, to paint, to dance, to cook differently, to move your body in ways you haven't before. Creativity is not simply a hobby. It is the language of the soul. It is how your deeper self processes what words cannot explain. If during these days you feel drawn to create, do not dismiss it. That impulse is sacred. It is part of your healing. Practical advice during this window is simple yet profound. Return to the basics. Nourish your body with care. Drink water as if it carries memory, because in truth it does. Feed yourself with foods that ground you, not those that scatter your energy. Choose silence over noise when you can. Choose presence over distraction. These are not cliches. They are tools. Tools that allow you to anchor yourself while the tides move around you. Think of your inner world as a house. Over the years, dust has gathered in corners. Clutter has piled up in closets, and certain rooms have gone unused. These days act like a deep cleaning. They invite you to open the windows, let fresh air in, move furniture, clear space. At first it may look chaotic, things pulled out, scattered, rearranged, but soon you see the beauty. A home that breathes again. That is what your soul is asking for. And remember this, guidance is not only about what to release. It is also about what to embrace. Pay attention to the sparks of joy that surprise you, the small conversations that light something inside, the music that stirs you, the colors that attract you, the moments that feel aligned without effort. These are hints of the path forward. Follow them and you will find doors opening with ease. One of the greatest lessons of this period is learning to trust. Trust that what leaves was never meant to stay. Trust that what arrives carries purpose. Trust that even confusion is part of the process because it slows you down enough to reflect. The more you resist, the harder it feels. The more you allow, the lighter it becomes. Trust is not passive. It is active. It is a choice to align with the flow rather than wrestle against it. Guidance also comes in the form of patience. We live in a world that worships speed, instant results, instant clarity, instant gratification. But the truth is, deep transformation never happens instantly. It unfolds slowly like a flower opening one petal at a time. If you demand answers too quickly, you will miss the beauty of the process. These days remind you that patience is not waiting idly. It is growing quietly until the moment of bloom. As you move through these days, remember you are not a passive observer. You are a participant. The moon may guide, but it does not control. You still hold the power of choice. Each decision you make, no matter how small, shapes the trajectory of what comes next. Do not underestimate the weight of small shifts. Choosing peace over argument, presence over distraction, courage over fear. Each choice is a seed, and these days a fertile ground. Between September 26th to 30th, the invitation is clear. Release what is heavy. Embrace what is light. Trust the flow. Honor the process. This is not about perfection. It is about alignment. You are not being asked to become someone else overnight. You are being asked to step closer to the person you already are. Beneath the noise, beneath the habits, beneath the stories, that person is waiting, and the guidance of these days will bring you closer. The energy in these days doesn't arrive as a storm. It comes more like a tide, steady and undeniable, shaping your inner landscape in ways you may not fully see until later. Think of it as a teacher, gentle but firm. It doesn't force you to change, but it refuses to let you stay the same. The guidance here is not about pressure. It's about alignment. One of the greatest truths this cycle reveals is that growth does not happen in comfort. Growth comes when life nudges you into spaces you would not enter on your own. These moments are like doorways with unfamiliar thresholds. On one side is the life you already know. The habits, the patterns, the old identity. On the other side is a new version of you. You may hesitate, wondering if you're ready, but the truth is readiness comes after the step, not before it. To walk through that doorway, you need courage. Not the kind that roars loudly, but the quiet courage of small, consistent choices. Choosing honesty when it would be easier to pretend. Choosing boundaries when it would be easier to people please. Choosing stillness when it would be easier to drown in distractions. Each choice is a key that unlocks the future you are meant to live. Consider how you speak to yourself in this period. The voice in your head is either a guide or a thief. It can encourage you, reminding you of your strength, or it can sabotage you, replaying doubts and fears. If you catch yourself being harsh, pause and shift the tone. Speak to yourself as you would to someone you love deeply. That shift alone can change how you carry yourself through these days. Another layer of guidance is about vision. Not the distant dreams you scribble in journals, but the immediate vision of who you want to be in the next chapter. This period is like a mirror showing you both what you have become and what you could become. Instead of asking, "What should I do?" ask, "Who do I want to be?" That question leads you into choices that align with your higher self, rather than just temporary desires. Think of your relationships again. Not only with others, but with yourself. How often do you silence your own needs to keep peace with others? How often do you trade authenticity for acceptance? The lunar pool in this window highlights these imbalances not to punish you, but to awaken you. You cannot sustain connections that require you to betray yourself. True alignment comes when you can stand in your truth and still be loved not for who you pretend to be, but for who you are. Guidance also arrives in the form of release. Sometimes the heaviest things you carry are not objects or obligations, but expectations. Expectations of who you should be by now, of where you should have arrived, of how life should look. These expectations become invisible chains holding you back from experiencing the present as it is. Letting them go doesn't mean giving up. It means opening yourself to possibilities beyond what you imagined. The moonlight in these days asks you to soften, to let reality surprise you, to step out of rigid timelines and into flow. Practical steps help anchor this. Begin your mornings with clarity instead of chaos. Before reaching for your phone, pause and ask, "What is one thing I want to carry into today?" It could be calm. It could be focus. It could be gratitude. Naming it directs your energy, and when the world tries to scatter you, return to that word. It becomes your compass. Evenings, too, are crucial. They are not endings, but integrations. Before you drift into rest, take a moment to acknowledge what the day has taught you. Ask, "What did I gain today that no one can take away?" Maybe it was patience in traffic. Maybe it was a new idea. Maybe it was simply choosing kindness when you could have chosen anger. These small recognitions anchor the lessons of these days and prepare you for what comes next. Remember, guidance is not always grand. Sometimes it is as simple as a sudden urge to rearrange your space, to clean a corner of your home, to change the music you listen to. These actions may seem small, but they shift your environment. And when your environment shifts, your inner state follows. Energy is not only within you, it is around you. Shape it consciously and it will support your transformation. There is also wisdom in solitude. Not isolation, but chosen solitude. Time away from noise, away from constant input, away from the pull of other people's emotions. These moments are where your own voice becomes louder, where intuition has space to speak. If you find yourself craving quiet, honor it. That craving is guidance. What's essential to understand is that these days are not punishment. They are preparation. Preparation for the next chapter, the next opportunities, the next level of clarity. The heaviness you may encounter is not a sign that something is wrong. It's a sign that something is being rearranged, like soil being turned before seeds are planted. This period is preparing the ground of your life for growth. And growth always comes with choice. You can either resist the process, clinging to the familiar, or you can lean in, trusting that the unfamiliar carries gifts. The more you resist, the longer the lessons repeat. The more you surrender, the faster you integrate. The choice is always yours. These days are an invitation to realign with your highest values. To ask yourself not only what you want from life, but what life wants from you. Perhaps it is calling you to serve in new ways, to create something meaningful, to nurture relationships with more presence, to release roles that no longer fit. These questions may not have immediate answers, but the asking itself opens doors. As you move through this time, remember that empowerment does not come from control. It comes from clarity. Control tries to manipulate outcomes. Clarity allows you to choose wisely regardless of outcome. When you are clear about who you are and what you stand for, uncertainty loses its power over you. That clarity is what these days are sharpening within you. So the guidance is simple yet profound. Honor the whispers. Trust the nudges. Release the weight. Follow the sparks. Align your choices with who you want to become, not just who you have been. These days are not here to test you. They are here to elevate you. What you carry forward will define the next chapter of your journey. Because the truth is, what you're experiencing now is not an ending. It is a preparation, a quiet initiation into deeper strength, sharper clarity, and a more authentic way of living. And the question is not whether this guidance will shape you. It already is. The real question is, how will you choose to use it? September 26th to 30th is not marked by ordinary time. It is carved into your journey as a threshold. In these days, you are not merely passing through a calendar. You are standing at the edge of who you have been and who you can become. This is not a slow drift forward. It is the kind of moment when the entire landscape inside of you demands that you stop, take notice, and decide how you will continue. For so long, you may have carried yourself as if the weight on your back was part of your identity. You adjusted your steps to it, convinced that heaviness was normal. Yet these days are not asking you to carry more. They are demanding that you place the weight down. The universe does not give you moments like this to remind you of limits. It offers them so you can redefine what is possible. Think of the way the ocean swells before a wave crests. For a time it is all built up, gathering strength below the surface. And then in one undeniable instant it rises, towering, unstoppable, transforming the shoreline with its arrival. That is where you are now. Your tide has been building for years through lessons learned, through mistakes, through moments you thought you wouldn't overcome. The wave has gathered and it is ready to rise. The question is whether you will rise with it. This is not about waiting for external permission. Too often we live as though someone outside of us must approve our next step, validate our choices, or hand us the courage we've been searching for. But this turning point reveals the truth. You were never meant to wait for a gatekeeper. You are the one who decides when the story pivots, when the page turns, when the silence ends. If you are searching for a sign that it is time, understand this. The sign is already here. Think about how many times you silenced your own instincts. Times you knew you were capable of more, but convinced yourself to stay small. Times you knew a relationship was taking more than it gave, but you clung to it anyway. Times you looked at your reflection and whispered promises of change only to let them dissolve into routine. These moments have not been wasted. They have been fuel piling quietly, preparing you for the fire of transformation. And now the flame has arrived. You stand at a crossroads, but it is not a crossroads of chance. It is one of decision. The old path will not vanish if you turn away. It will wait, comfortable, familiar, always ready to pull you back. But the other path, the one lined with uncertainty, is where your true life waits. It does not offer guarantees. It does not promise safety. What it does promise is authenticity, growth, and the fulfillment of the potential that has lived within you since the beginning. The climax of these days is not external. It is internal. The moon, the skies, the alignments may act as mirrors, but the reflection is yours to interpret. What they reveal is not destiny carved in stone, but possibility etched in light. And possibility is useless unless you act upon it. This is the demand of these days: action, not tomorrow, not when it feels easier. Now you may wonder what action looks like. It does not need to be grand. It could be a single conversation you have avoided, finally spoken with truth. It could be a step toward the project that has lingered in your imagination, waiting for your courage to match your vision. It could be the decision to walk away from what drains you, even if the unknown feels frightening. These are the actions that change lives, not because they happen instantly, but because they set momentum into motion. And there is one more truth you must understand. You are not here by accident. Out of billions of possibilities, you are alive in this exact moment, with this exact set. At this turning point, you are being called to declare to yourself what you are no longer willing to carry, to look at your habits, your stories, your excuses, and to say enough. You are being asked to draw a line not in sand but in stone. From September 26th to 30th, 5 days of lunar energy have acted like a mirror, drawing out truths that can no longer be ignored. In that mirror, the hidden has been revealed, the heavy has been lifted into awareness, and the path ahead has been illuminated with unmistakable clarity. The message has been consistent throughout these days. Transformation is not waiting somewhere far away. It is already unfolding here and now. Strength grows not in silence but in action. Hope is no longer a distant vision but a present force that moves with you as you rise into a truer version of yourself. The universe is not asking for perfection. It is asking for presence. Each step forward, no matter how small, carries the power to reshape the story of your life. That is the deeper gift of these days. An awakening that does not fade but continues if you choose to honor it. So share in the comments what these shifts have stirred inside you. Subscribe and stay connected, because this journey is only beginning. And in the next chapter, even greater revelations are waiting to meet.